Oh, let's try that again. Okay, so what happens, I guess, if you hit that button on the bottom, it fucks up the video. Um, so I gotta remember not to touch the bottom. I'm back from my demo ride. Bike is in the same condition it was before. I'm seeing now out in the sunshine a scratch on the left side of the tank that I did not see before. Did not notice before, certainly. And I don't think he pointed it out. So let's go look at it. You can see right there in the upper surface, there is right above my shadow, where my hand is, there is a jagged scratch that goes about 4 inches, 3 or 4 inches long, alongside that stripe. That's much more noticeable than those two nicks that he pointed out there. But, they're there now. The bike's a little beat up, but it's not really beat up. The bigger issues, the guy was saying, were the tires. It needs a new front tire. Apparently the front tire, I actually found a Suzuki dealership, walked in there, asked them what was going on with the pogoing that I was noticing. High frequency pogoing. And he said, well, the tire's not round. And if you run your hand around the front of the middle section of the tire, you can feel that there's some definite flat spots. Probably somebody pulled a stoppie or two on it, and it's no longer flat. Around, I should say. Also, right off the center line, there's like a soft, like you can push your finger and it's really soft zone around the center, like bead that goes around the circumference. And then there's a much harder zone on the outside. So that tire is flexing and doing all kinds of weird shit. But I don't think that's what's causing it to pogo. I think the suspension is just, the damping's just set too soft. It really pogos at high frequency. Even just riding it around, low speeds around here, you can notice it. And it's nowhere near what the Gixxer that I demoed, the Gixxers that I demoed were like. So I'll definitely have to point that out. I mean, it was something, I almost brought it back to have him look at it. And I was like, man, there's no way I'm going to ride this bike to Toronto, even if I had the money and the time. And then I got about, I don't know, 5 miles down the road. I said, well, let me see how far I can ride it. And I just rode around in circles. And then I said, okay, then fine. Let me see how far south I can ride it before I get tired. And then I rode it about 65, 75 miles, zigzagging on back roads, some on 295, and most on back roads. I got down south of the Atlantic City Expressway, south of the Philadelphia Expressway, which I guess weaves back and forth. I then got on 333, or 338, which runs out to Atlantic City, and I got about 20 miles in Atlantic City, hit 58 coming north, caught 206, luckily, and then took that 40 miles back into Trenton to 50 or 62 or whatever this is, 68, and then got some gas and came in. So it was good. It was probably a good 200 miles, maybe 100 miles. I would say maybe 100, 150 miles. But more to the point, it got the bike at 9 or 10, 10 o'clock, and it got back at 3. So that's 5 hours of riding, man. I was not tired, but there wasn't really much left in the tank to keep riding it. The problem I really ran into was riding on the highway around here. Apparently they've grooved part of 295, and I almost had the wheels come out from under me on that shit. After riding them, I feel like, man, this feels just like marbles. I'm riding on marbles. The next thing I know, the front and back wheel just go whoop real quick and just flip over. I was like, fuck this, I'm coming off. But it was fairly, I wouldn't say stable. I wouldn't call it stable at all. Not like an R1. It was responsive, not stable, but not unstable. You know, it was a little squirrely, but not too bad. And I wouldn't complain about it. I thought it was, put new tires on it, fine. It might be a lot better, which would be good, but even without them, I wouldn't really complain except for the pogoing. The pogoing was just a little out of control. Really kind of, I would say, borderline destroyed the ride. You're just going at high speed. Every time it hits a bump for like about a second at least, half a second maybe. So that was a little bit too much. That was a little over the top. But other than that, I thought it was fine. The riding position was comfortable. I think I could have ridden this bike for another 2 or 3 hours without feeling like I had to get off it, which is about as long as I would ride my bike. The weight distribution is not that bad. It's about 25% in your hands, 75% on your well, maybe 60% on your butt and 10% on your feet. And if there was one thing that bothered me about this bike, the handlebars are not padded, but that's a different problem. Those pegs are brutal. They just kind of like get hard in short order. Not too long. It doesn't take long for those pegs to get hard. Let's put it that way. I would definitely want some rubber on those pegs and some padding on those bars, on those grips. But other than that, it was fine. I actually preferred it to the higher grip that was on the Honda. The higher standoff step the guy had mounted on that Honda that I demoed yesterday. I thought those were fine at low speeds, but these worked really well at highway speeds. It was like you were just laying into the wind, not too aggressively for the street, and not too much, not too little or too much. It was good. I think that a far forward position is a pain in the ass at low speeds because it gets really hard to maneuver the bike. The bike had plenty of locks, steering locks. It wasn't hard to turn at low speeds. It's really tight. It has nice top to bottom balance. Has nice front to back balance. Just like the Suzuki 750, I thought it was excellently balanced, and it turns really well. Certainly better than the Honda, which I thought was bottom heavy and wide and short. It was a nice short wheelbase, but it was just this big pot belly, iron pot of an engine in there, and it just threw off the balance. So they talk about mass centralization and all that, but I don't think it was working in the Honda. The bike wanted to stand up in the turns, and this one just is almost reading your mind, man. You want to turn? Okay, lean over, turn. Are we going fast? Are we going slow? I don't care. Let's just turn, and I didn't have any problem with it. Again, I felt the bike was really easy to ride, although this one was not quite as easy or as comfortable to ride as the Gixxer that I demoed, the Gixxer's 1000 that I demoed. It might be showing its age a little bit. The engine still got some pretty hefty kick. I thought it had more kick than the ones at the demos, especially down low. So overall, it was a win. Again, I came away thinking that I could buy that bike and be happy, and that's where the goal line is, right there. I can buy that bike and be happy. I can own this bike and be happy. Not looking at the price, but just looking at the performance, the rideability, the features, the acceleration, the handling, and the brakes. Not to mention the looks. Okay, I could buy that bike and be happy is a big thing. So I'm going to stop there. It's time to stop recording crap for